some ways is the place where it's the most tangible. You'll make people the happiest or maddest. Definitely the maddest. But and it's not for glory or fame or money or anything, but you can really put your thumbprint stamp on your community, as Jeff knows from his service on the school board in Richmond. So thank you for being devoted to it. I did 2 events last night in Prince William, and the cool thing is at the events in Prince William, like today, we've got all these local supervisor, school board, Commonwealth's attorney, constitutional officers, and the legislative candidates, and working really well in tandem, and that's important because Henrico County needs a responsive General Assembly to do the things that you want to do as a community. To all of you who have been part of Henrico's remarkable turnaround, I mean, politically that we do. It's just amazing, and so that's on you. You guys have done that, and I hope you feel a sense of pride about it. Just to echo what Jeff and Skylar said, and then to say a word about why what you're doing, canvassing, is so important. We're within 2 seats of taking majority in both houses, and if we can do that, we will get the ERA ratified. We will be the 38th state to do it. And what a great thing that Virginia can put that over the finish line. We will get an increase in the minimum wage. We will get better rules on things like early and absentee voting, so people will be more enfranchised rather than less enfranchised, which is what the other side wants to do. We will get meaningful solutions on gun violence. We will protect and then go further on healthcare access for people. That's what we will get. We will not get any of those things if even one of the houses stays Republican. If we don't take both houses, all of those things that I just mentioned are things that we're not going to get, because they are committed, the Republicans are committed to blocking ERA, blocking pro-environmental moves, blocking minimum wage increase, blocking voter empowerment and enfranchisement over disenfranchisement. So we have it within our grasp. It's so close, but the stakes couldn't be higher. And as Skylar said, he said it'll set the tone for the next decade. This legislature will be the legislature that will work on things like redistricting, to do a meaningful and fair, nonpartisan redistricting process rather than the gerrymander that the other guys like to do. So important. So it will set the tone for the next decade. I'm really proud of the arc that Virginia has been on, but this piece of it is really key, because the General Assembly has kind of been a graveyard when we've tried to do progressive things. And there's no better example than the one that Jeff talked about, which was the special session this summer on guns. I mean, just think about it. Whether it was these poor municipal employees and a guy just seeking a building contract in Virginia Beach, or whether it's a little girl at a Memorial Day picnic who's killed in a drive-by shooting in Richmond, our communities all across Virginia have been too scarred by gun violence. And it could be homicides, it could be suicides, it could be a child finding a loaded weapon and accidentally discharging it to his or her own detriment, or somebody else gets injured or killed. We see this all the time. No one can say this is not a problem. It's a problem. Ralph Northam said, come on back. I've got a list of solutions that I want you to tackle. Now, the Republicans were not bound to say yes to Governor Northam's solutions. They could put their own ideas on the table, if they had any. But what did they have for Virginians? Dealing with something that 100% of Virginians would say, yeah, this is a problem. The gun violence and the toll that it's taken on our communities is a problem. What did they have for Virginians? They had nothing. I mean, to look in the face of grieving people and grieving communities and say, I'll tell you what we have for you. We have nothing for you. It's just a crew of people that have just run out of ideas. They're holding on to power for one reason, to hold on to power. They forgot why they're in office. They forgot what they're about. And in response to a critical issue where they could have put different ideas on the table and let's have a meaningful debate about what's the best way to deal with gun violence, their response was, we don't want to do anything. Well, it's time for the people who have nothing to offer to be shoved aside, the people who don't want to offer anything to deal with people's real pain and blood. They need to be moved aside, and we need to put people in place who are compassionate problem solvers, and that's who Jeff and Skylar are, and that's what you'll get with 2 Democratic majorities. Now, why you're so important, and you already know this, I'm sure you get this drilled into you every time anybody talks to you about this race or about volunteering. The friend of the Republicans in this race is apathy. Each Republican candidate campaigning anywhere in Virginia is walking with their arm around their campaign buddy, voter apathy, because Virginia, blessing and curse of having an election every year is, we have presidential year, big turnout. The next year is a governor's year. That's pretty big turnout. The next year is a federal midterm. Senate races, House races, pretty good turnout. But then the fourth year, this year, where there's no president, no governor, no senator, no statewide, no federal election, where it's legislative and local elections, the turnout really plummets. And that's what they're counting on. That is what they have going for them. That's why they don't think they need any ideas. They don't need to have a solution to anything. They just, come up with a creative name to call you, and they can't really defend either what they have done or what they're planning to do, but what they're counting on is low turnout. That's what they're counting on. And what you're doing today and through election, calling, canvassing, talking to folks, convincing them why it's so important, this is what is absolutely necessary to beat their best ally in this election, this voter apathy thing. And I was talking to Jeff and Skylar right when I walked in, and I said, how's it going? And they both said essentially some version of it. At this point, it's a turnout game. So you can really be helpful. Canvassing is always helpful, but in a low turnout race, it has the higher marginal utility. I was an econ major. The highest marginal utility of person-to-person contact is in a low turnout race. And that's what this year is. And so your work this year will have a bigger impact on the outcome than many others. I'll just say this one last thing. 2017, which was a better turnout year traditionally, because there's a governor's race. So many races, Jeff, were decided by 100, 200, 350, a coin flip.
Coin flip,
yeah. Right.
I think we lost 3 or 4 seats by less than 2,000 votes.
Yeah. Josh Cole with the weird switching of the ballots sent to the wrong places. I mean, so many races were decided by razor-thin margins. I'm going to tell you, the same thing's going to happen on November 5th. There's going to be a bunch of races, I don't know which ones, there's going to be a bunch of races that are going to be decided by the equivalent of maybe 2 or 3 votes a precinct, right? 2 or 3 votes a precinct will decide a bunch of these races. And so I want to end up on the right side of those. On the close calls, I don't want to have the coin flip go against us. I don't want to have weird ballot things, mess up Josh Cole or other candidates. So what you're doing is we'll make sure that in these close races that we're on the winning end. We got the momentum. We just got to press the advantage, and we can do it, and we can have a great night. Thanks so much for coming.